Hello everybody, this is Howard the Teaser King, and this conversation is going to be on gold. So it's not a football talk, I just talk football. People ask me, do I think pro sports are fixed? In which case I say, to a degree, yes. But that ain't nothing like what's going on in the gold market, how fixed that is. So if you're scared to bet football because you think it's fixed, I got trends that show this team's, Cal's 14-2 at home. But what's going on in the gold market is just total fraud. I'll map it out for you. I have a master's in classical economics, corporate finance. And classical economics is laissez-faire. It's let the market dictate. It's hands off. It's just let the competition rule. And the biggest thing I learned was the currency's called fiat currency, which means it's printed by the government. Nothing's backing it. And they print like water. So let's say you had a printing press and you could print paper. How much paper would you print? How much paper would you print for your friend? How much paper would Trump print? And this is the problem. Anybody that would sell gold to buy fiat, not backed paper, has got to have their head examined. The only way you can do this is if you know it's fixed, where you know the dollar's going up. For no reason should it go up. It should never go up because they print like water, and gold should not go down because they're raising interest rates when there's heavy inflation. We're going to define inflation. Inflation is, let's look at it this way. For those of you who collect baseball cards, football cards, which I'm sure a lot of people that watch my videos do because it's sports, why don't you buy Topps baseball cards, Topps football cards? Because they print 1 million of them and they have no value. It's basically the only way something can go up in value. There has to be more demand than supply. Meaning, 10 people gotta want a card that there's only 9 of. That will make the price go up. But when Topps prints 1 million cards, unless there's 1 million people wanting the card, it will never go up in value. That's why you would see a Cal Ripken Jr. 5th year card be worth $1. A Derek Jeter 5th year card. A regular Derek Jeter Topps card's worth $1. The rookie card's obviously worth more. The graded cards are, the only reason that they're worth more is because they're graded, which means there's less of them because there's not that many graded cards. So when you get a Derek Jeter rookie card and it says PSA 10, there's not a whole lot of PSA 10s. That's why there's more value to it. Think of money as the same way. You have the government printing money like Topps. There's billions and trillions of paper, useless paper currency out there. This is why people are going to Bitcoin. So what happens is, here I have gold which really can't be inflated because you can't produce more of it. You can dig more out of a mine, but they're using it for phones, they're using it for jewelry, coins. This is gold. Okay, this is what they make it out of. Then they have coins. You can buy the gold coin, half ounce, quarter ounce, ounces. If I gave you, gold is now $11.75 an ounce and I'm absolutely in shock. I can give you $1,175 or one gold coin worth $1,175. What would you rather have? The answer, 100%, is gold coin. Why? Why wouldn't I want the money? Because the money is going to keep being printed. The more they print, the less it's worth. That's what inflation is. And inflation is a reduction in purchasing power of the dollar because it's being devalued because there's so many Topps baseball cards, aka currency out there, that it makes the value of the dollar less. And since it's backed by nothing, it will continue to go down in value. Then you have the national debt, which makes the currency worth less. Gold, on the other hand, cannot be inflated. This is how many. This is where the demand outlies the supply. There's more. I mean, if you handed a gold coin to 1,000 people, they'd all take it, right? If you handed them a $100 bill, they'd probably all take it. But if you gave them a choice, between $1,200, and let's say gold was $1,200, and the gold coin, 100% of the people should take the gold coin because it's going to be worth more than $1,200, and the dollars are going to be worth less than $1,200 in the near future. So let's add inflation to the thing. So there's a lot of heavy inflation going on, which means, what it means in English is the currency's worth less. The gallon of milk, now the loaf of bread that cost you $2 is now $4. That's inflation. The bread did not go up in price. The dollar went down in value, and it takes more dollars to get the bread or the can of tuna or the peanut butter or the butter or the t-shirt. It takes more dollars to buy it because the dollar's worth less. In 1972, gold was worth $32 an ounce. Now it's $11.75. The ounce hasn't changed. What has changed? The currency. It takes $1,175 to buy the same ounce of gold because that's how much the dollar's been inflated. There's always demand for gold because gold will always have value. The currencies will go out. I mean, there's a lot of currencies that go out and then they come up with new currencies. This is how they kind of avoid it. So do you trust the government, who basically, when have they ever told you the truth? When you look at elections, how many people even vote when they go, I'm not voting for these two clowns, or this guy or that guy, or this woman or that woman. I don't want to vote for them. I'm not going to vote, or I'm going to vote, conservative or liberal, or I'm going to vote libertarian. So what happens is, you don't trust them, but why do you trust them with the money? You know they're printing it. They print and print. Even though I get paid, it goes into my account. I don't touch the money. I use my debit card to buy my groceries, to buy my gas. And I get it, but the real truth is I'm basically using money. I'm basically going to the bank, $50 for groceries. I'm going to the bank, getting $50 and paying them, but I'm just using the card to pay them with it. But I'm still using currency. I'm not using, if I don't have money, I can't just use the card. It's not like that. So what you have is massive inflation, meaning the value of the dollar is getting weaker. It's taking you more dollars to buy gold, to buy bread, to buy a car. Then you have these incredibly stupid tariffs. What's a tariff? A tariff is a tax. The best way a country can run is with gold-backed currency and free trade. I don't want to tax my goods. I want it to be, if I have this phone and it's $100, then I want to pay $100. I don't want to get a tariff on it, which is a tax, and pay $120 for something that should charge me $100. So all these tariffs are going to cause another depression. This is what caused the depression in 1929, 1930, the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act. Why? Because when you raise the prices, you have a competitive economy right now. Okay, let's call it what it is. It's the invisible hand, means it's competitive economy. You make a better product at a cheaper price, people will buy it. But you gotta make what's called Say's Law. If everybody wants a black t-shirt, you sell black t-shirts. You don't sell white t-shirts, and you don't sell blue t-shirts. And if I want a gold chain, you make a gold chain. You make what I want, what you want. You're the consumer. The idea is the marketplace sells what you demand. Say's Law. What do you want? That's what I'm going to make for you. So what you have here in our competitive capitalistic society, which is the best in the world, but it's going south pretty deep pretty soon. You've put in these incredibly stupid tariffs. You've just raised prices on all your goods. Try doing something with steel, aluminum. Pretty soon, a lot of the soy products, anything you get from China, from Turkey, from the UK, from Europe, is going to have this tax on it, which means it costs more. You're now a seller. You own a store. You're selling black t-shirts. Your material cost just went up. So you can sell this shirt for 10 bucks, and the market says, yeah, I'll pay 10 bucks for it. But now your costs have gone up. Now it costs you another $5 thanks to these stupid tariffs. Now it's $15. The market says, I'm not going to pay 15. 10 I was comfortable with, but 15, it's too much. I can go to the other store, or you know what? I'm going to buy them quickly at 10, and then once they hit 15, I'm not going to buy it. But when you're in business, there's only one reason. You're in it to make a profit, and you're in it to make 20% or more in your profit. You're not in business to make 3%. It's not worth it. Put your money in a stock with a dividend like Las Vegas Sands and make 5% with no risk. Well, very little risk, but you basically can get the dividend stocks, which is why the stock market's so high right now. So I could get 5%, so why go into business and take a risk and worry about payroll and how much money I'm going to make when I can sit there and make 5% all day long with no risk and I can just sit back and go golfing, watch TV, watch my football, and not have a concern in the world. So if I can't make a good 15-20% of my business, there's no point in being in business. So you've just raised my cost, which makes I can't sell my shirt for 10 because my costs were 5, so I could sell it for 10 and make 50%. But if my costs now have gone up to 10, I can't sell it for 10, I make 0, which means now I got to sell it for 15. But the question is, Say's Law, will the market allow me to raise the price? Now keep in mind, 99% of the people are on a salary. They go to work 40, 50 hours a week. They get a paycheck. It's very hard to, and you can't get a lot of raises, and especially if the companies, well, I'll get to that in a minute. You can't get a raise. So you get a set, I don't know, $1,000, let's say, a week, just a number. So I can only afford this after taxes, let's say. So I can only afford to spend $1,000 a week. But now you've made the shirts more, and now the food's more. So I only have so much. I'm not going to buy as much. Now, a company can only stay in business if they're making money. I'm not going to buy, the cost of the shirt's 10. I'm not going to sell it for 9. I'm not going to sell it for 10, and I'm not going to sell it for 11. So if I can't get $15, I'm going out of business. That means I got to lay off all my employees, and I got to close. This is the big problem. This is what Trump has created by these stupid tariffs. The tax cuts were beautiful, very, very good, because the private sector, us, spends money a lot better than the public sector. Look at schools and roads. They're horrible. All this road construction, all the problems with schools. So what happens is this is what the public sector spends on. Me and you spend it at different stores. So basically, because we spend on different stores, we spend smartly. So we go to the grocery store and we buy the things that businesses sell. So what happens is, if I can't make money, I lay off all my employees and go out of business, which then raises unemployment, and it takes money out of the economy, so therefore there's less sales going around. So what happens to every company? How do they pass the cost on? It's very difficult to just raise prices and have people continue to buy. So therefore you can't. There's a limit of how much of this tariff you can pass to the consumer. As a business, let's talk GM, let's talk Toyota, whatever you want to talk. We can talk John Deere. They can't, so the bigger companies, right? But they can't pass the cost on. So what happens is they start laying off employees because I'm not making money, and I'm in business to make money, and I got stockholders, and I can't, well, sorry, I had a tariff, my steel price went up, but I can't pass it on to the consumer, so I still got to make profit. I still got to make $1 billion, but you've just raised my cost $50 million because steel's now way more expensive. Because guess what? When you do a tariff and you raise the tax, and I was buying steel from China at $100 a pound or however you buy it. Pardon me, I'm not sure, but this is the point. Now it's $150 for a ton or whatever it is. And so what happens is, oh, you want the U.S. to produce it, and you want to get rid of the competition. What does the U.S. mean? U.S. Steel, what do? They mark their steel up because now there's no competition. That's the beauty of competition. You can't raise your price because the other guy comes in, he sells it cheaper, he undercuts you, and until you get about a 20% margin, and then you both kind of settle at 20% margins. So if I try to make 40 and this guy says I'll make 30, that's the invisible hand. It keeps it in check. So you can't just sell it at 50% because 50% markup, because the consumer is going to say no, it's too expensive. If there's no demand for the product, you can't sell it. So what happens? I can't make money. I can't pass the increase on to the consumer. I must make profit because I got stockholders. So the only thing left is I got to lay off employees. Well, the more employees I lay off takes money out of the economy, adds to unemployment. Guess what? They don't buy anything because they're laid off. They're unemployed. Next, what happens? They don't go to the grocery store as much. They don't have as much to spend. So now they're not spending. So this is what's the ripple effect. Now the other stores start laying off because the regular consumer who was buying all this money and he's going to these different stores, he's buying computers and TVs and beds and cars. I don't have the money, I'm not buying. I got to save up, and I'm not any fancy food. I'm eating, tuna and hot dogs, and I'm cutting down, and that's why Coke and Pepsi do well in this, because everybody can afford a Coke or Pepsi or Budweiser, something cheap, but they, so that was my thesis, was on what happens with the trade cycle. So that's what you buy is Coke and Pepsi if you have stocks. But what happens is, as more people get laid off, because costs have gone up to every industry, and the consumer cannot afford these costs because they're not getting raises. And with inflation, your money's worth less anyway. So all of a sudden, the bread's $4, but you're not getting this raise at work, and you can't. All of a sudden, there's layoffs, so you can't move to get a raise. Like now, you can move. So you know what? Yeah, I'm making $100,000 here. I can go make 110 over there. All right, see you later. I'm going to get a raise. I'm going to get my $10,000 raise. Well, all of a sudden, that company's laying off. And not only that, so you can't get more than 100,000 or 50,000, whatever your number is, where you could move and be like a free agent in football, right? I can move over. I'm a free agent. I can move over because they're going to pay me more, and I'm a business, so that's my goal. Turns into, wait a minute, there's nowhere to go because the company I'd go to, they're laying off. So all of a sudden there's more and more layoffs because the costs have gone up, which creates panic, which the inflation hurts your value of your dollar. So even when you're making $100,000, you're really not, because you can't afford what $100,000 10 years ago could afford. So now it's worth $80,000. But what's happening to gold? Gold is $11.75 an ounce now. Should be going up because as the currency devalues, Gold does not go down because of the inflation. Gold goes up because it costs more dollars to buy the gold since the dollar has lost its value. So where it's $11.75, now it's going to take $1,200 to buy the same ounce because it's been inflated. This is why gold is being fixed, because it makes no freaking sense that gold would be going down and people would be buying dollars in an inflated situation. And people, I don't know how stupid people are to think, oh, interest rates are going up, so I'm going to put my money in a 3% CD at the bank, if you can even find one, because the banks aren't giving you that much. They're still holding back. I'll give you 2. And if you don't think gold will go up 2%, you're crazy. Gold will go up more. Gold is being held down, I believe, so the Russians can buy it. I know Russia doesn't want US dollars, neither does China. They will not buy it. They want gold instead. So what happens is Putin talks to Trump at their visit, hey, let's lower gold because I want to buy it. And there's no time better to buy anything than when it's on sale. You can buy apples on sale, you buy a lot more of them. You buy a car on sale, you can afford it. And shirts are on sale. Hey, I can get this for $10. I'm going to buy 3 of them. Because they're on sale is when you buy. So what happens? They go and they say, you know what? We're going to have, come on to Russia. This is what I want. I'll split it with you. So Trump and Putin are sitting in the bar in Russia, and they go, okay, so how do we lower the price of gold so I can buy, tons and tons of it? Because I got all this money because I'm a billionaire. Because I live in a communist economy where I get all the money and I don't allow competition, which is what happens in Russia. You want to start a business in Russia, you got to pay sales tax for the first year up front. Who has that? If you have all that money, you don't go into business. So Putin wants to buy gold, so what happens? He nudges Trump. Trump goes to his Wall Street buddies or whoever. All right, sell your gold. Let's drive the price down, and we're going to buy greenbacks, even though it's stupid, but if we all buy them together, and then I'll tell you, well, we'll get out first. So they buy first. It goes up. Now they're starting to get out. Gold finally went up $8 to $11.85 today. And I would say watch it skyrocket, because when you have inflation and your dollars are worth less, that's why gold's not $32 an ounce anymore. As soon as Nixon took it off, which he shouldn't have done, it was illegal, because that was the contract he had with Europe, was the, I can't remember the name of it, I apologize. I think Brinks, I want to say Briggs something, but the dollar was supposed to be backed by gold, and so you couldn't inflate the dollars. Now they took it off, and it screwed everybody. So now you can see you need basically $1,200 to buy the ounce of gold, and it's still an ounce of gold. It shows you how much the dollar's in. So who would want a dollar when you could have the gold? So therefore, in a situation with heavy tariffs causing depression, and you have higher interest rates because of inflation. See, this is the key. It's like the quarterback being out. You can't just look at the teams and go, well, I always bet New England. Yeah, but Brady's out. You can't bet New England now, so you don't bet them. Well, what's happening is people are so blindsided by interest. Well, the Fed's going to raise interest rates. I don't want gold. The Fed's raising interest rates because of this massive inflation that's happening. So as the inflation happens, the only thing you can do is raise interest rates. It doesn't mean the currency's strong. The currency's still weak as crap. It's not strong. So why would you want dollars? It's like I'm saying, well, the Tops isn't really that. They only made 800,000 Derek Jeter cards, not 1 million of them. Oh, okay, now I'm going to buy one because there's only 800,000. I mean, it's insane thinking. So because they're raising the interest rates because of the inflation, and they don't want hyperinflation. Hyperinflation is what knocked the Germans out and why Hitler came into power, because he said, oh, I'm going to come out, and he makes a new currency, and then he finds everybody jobs, government jobs, and he's the big hero. So basically that's how he got in, was the hyperinflation in Germany, where people are taking wheelbarrows to buy a loaf of bread because the currency went to crap. And that's what's happening here. The currency's going to crap. All they can do is raise interest rates, but they make it look like, nothing's wrong. And the value of gold should be $2,000-$3,000 an ounce. But because they're keeping it low for the Russians, what happens? They keep it low for the Russians. The Russians then are buying it hand over fist. The Chinese are buying it hand over fist, and the Trumps are buying it hand over fist, as is the U.S. And our country, for some reason, is the only country with gold going down. All the other countries, gold's going up, which is impossible because it's all floating exchange rates. So our exchange rate with Japan and the UK and Europe is the same. But you can see, people think because the euro is getting weaker and it's now down from 120 to $1.14 that the US dollar is getting stronger. No. The euro is getting weaker because of their inflation and Brexit, which is also getting away from free trade. So now their trade's going to cost more. So you're going to have this whole huge depression coming. You want to save yourself, you got to buy real assets, not paper. This is why people are buying Bitcoin, but they're wrong. They shouldn't buy Bitcoin that's not backed by anything. You want to buy gold because gold is gold. It's the gold standard. It's not the Bitcoin standard. Because Bitcoin's not backed by anything but some guy in Japan on a computer going, I think I'll lower the price. You know what? It's so high, I'm going to buy on my own, and nobody knows because it's my computer. It's my thing. It's all, you think gold's fixed right now. You don't think Bitcoin's fixed? You got to be crazy to buy that. Any of those currencies, if they're not backed by anything, are meaningless. There is no, there's got to be supply demand, right? There isn't. They can produce more. They can make another 1 million Bitcoins and devalue the Bitcoin because it's held by a computer. All they got to do is triple the amount. You can't do that with gold. You can't just come up and say, I'm going to make more gold coins. Unless you're Rumpelstiltskin, you're not making more gold coins. And so basically, gold cannot be inflated. Yeah, they'll dig more out of the mine, but the demand for gold far outreaches the supply, which is why that should be about $2,000 an ounce. And it's finally going up. I mean, for it to be down for a week, or how many weeks it's been going down, who the hell would be selling it unless it was fixed that the government is selling it, and the bigwigs, the Rothschilds and all those guys are buying dollars. So they're selling their gold to buy dollars, which is insane in the first place, because never is the value of a dollar going to be worth more than gold. And nobody should, if you have a gold coin, why would you sell it for $1,175 when the gold's going to be worth much more, especially after these tariffs take effect? After these inflation is kicking in, it's going to be a nightmare. So the more gold you own, then at least you can survive, but your dollars are going to be worth less and less. So the more gold you can accumulate, that's safety, and that's why gold should be going up. And for me to watch gold go down, all I think about is, man, it's fixed. Somebody's fixing it. People with enough money to sell it to buy the greenback, but then they're going to realize, okay, that's enough. I don't really want to own dollars. The Russians don't want to own dollars. The Chinese don't want to own dollars. Why would these rich Americans or these world Rothschilds want to own dollars? They know they want gold. They probably have it buried in the backyard. Therefore, you must understand that. So gold right now is extremely cheap. I would buy as much as you possibly can. It's still being fixed a little bit, but it's starting to go up. So now I think it's hit the bottom at 1170, and now it should proceed back to the 1300. And I am telling you what's going to happen. It's not my opinion. This is not an opinion. This is facts. This tariff and inflation will hurt the economy. There will be a depression. Not there might be. There will be. and gold will be at least 1,500 to 2,000, which is still lower than what it should be. That is not an opinion. That will happen, absolutely guaranteed. As long as these tariffs are there, just like in 1929, look it up, the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act, 1929 I think, and in 1930 you had a depression that lasted until World War II, when we could make components for both sides and sell them, and that's how we got out of it. But basically, how can it be good to raise cost? That means somebody has to pay for those raised costs, because business is not going to pay. General Motors is not going to take a steel increase and not pass it on to you. And if they can't pass it on to you, they're going to lay off their employees. General Motors cannot take big increases in steel and so survive without raising their cost on their cars. They're not going to keep the price the same, and when they raise the price, nobody's going to buy it, because you only have so much dollars, which means they're going to lay off. With the ripple effect, there'll be a lot of people unemployed. Yes, the economy is good now because Obama had rates at 0% for 8 freaking years, like an idiot. So what he did was even worse, because he weakened the dollar. The interest rate should be at 3% always, and leave it alone and let the market dictate. That's what should happen. Just leave everything alone with the market. About 3% is proper. That'll keep inflation tame. And you can't, what interest rates are is you're going to the grocery store and there's dollars there. And the lower the interest rate, the cheaper the dollar is. The higher the interest rate, the more expensive the dollar costs. When the dollar's cheap, you borrow it. It's like apples on sale. You buy more. But what do you do with it? So if you go spend, now you've raised your credit card, or you bought more things with it. And a lot of the times they're called male investments. They're really not smart things, but you just spent the money because it was cheap. And on the other hand, when the interest rates go up, I'm not spending. It's too expensive. I'm not going to buy a car now. You never buy an auto stock or any fixed good stock, Caterpillar, Deere, GM, Ford, with higher interest rates, because it costs more to buy the car. And I'm not going to buy now. I'm buying when it was 0%. That's why everybody bought. And then when it goes up, nobody's buying. You're buying Coke and Pepsi and Budweiser, and you're eating Pop-Tarts, and everything is cereal, and you're eating as cheap as possible because things are more expensive, and you only have so much money. And you might have money. I got money in an IRA, but I can't touch it. I'm not old enough, so therefore I got all this money sitting there that in an emergency I would use it. Then I'd get this 10% penalty and have to pay tax on it. So that's not proper. So there's certain ways that you can defeat the inflation and the tariffs. You've got to buy gold coins. You've got to buy gold stock. But even when you buy gold stock, and I've done my video on KL, Newmont has really gone south. KL got hammered a little, but I think they've bottomed out and they're on their way back. Again, you always watch the gold price when you're buying the gold stock. So when the gold price drops, you don't buy that day. And you wait. Now it's bottom. Now is a great time to buy KL. It should jump back into the mid-20s. So that's how you defeat it, is by buying gold. And that's why gold goes up, because gold holds its value. So if I buy 20 gold coins that are ounces, if I buy an ounce coin, let's say it's 1,200 to keep it simple. If I buy 10 of them, it's 12 grand. Well, I know in a year it's going to be worth 15 grand because it'll go up to 1,500. But my dollar is going to go to where? My $1,200 is going to be worth 1,100 maybe, if I'm lucky. So you've got to be very careful with that. That's what's going to happen. That is not an opinion. I got a master's in this. I wrote a thesis on it. No, that is not what happens. What happens is layoffs, because you can't just increase anything. So if I'm selling black shirts, like I said, and that's my example, all of a sudden my cost for the material goes up $5. I'm selling the shirt for 10, it costs me 5. All of a sudden it costs me 10. I can't sell the shirt for 10. I'm either laying off people, I'm trying to raise my price to 15, but I can't. Now the only way I can outsmart it is to change material and find a material that isn't being tariffed. Good luck on that, because China's pissed and they're tariffing everything. Oh, you want to hit us, we're going to hit you back. So now it's ridiculous. I don't understand Trump. Well, first of all, he's obviously a terrible businessman, but I really don't understand him doing this. What does he think? You don't want to protection your country. That's what Japan's done. Their economy has been terrible for 20 years because they're protectionism. They don't allow competition. What they do is say, no, 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 Ford and GM, you can't come in, or we're going to have this huge tariff on it, and it's going to cost so much, so we're going to sell Toyota and Honda and Nissan in Japan. But what the dealers do is they raise their prices because we don't have the competition from the U.S. So they raise their price. So that in Japan, everything's very expensive because there is no competition to lower the price. Competition helps the consumer. It doesn't help the manufacturer. Tariffs hurt the manufacturer and hurt the consumer. Competition helps the consumer. That's the beauty of capitalism. Laissez-faire. Keep the government out. Let the competition dictate. Brings up quality and brings down price. You can shop. You get a better product cheaper. That's why America works. That's the beauty of competition. Once you take competition out, you create monopoly. Once you have monopoly, the guy goes, I'm the only guy selling black shirts. I'm going to sell them for $100. Well, what happens is the market says, I'm not paying $100. So the monopoly can't, he's got to find a product that you basically can't substitute. So, oh, I won't wear this. I'll wear a polo shirt. It's cheaper. Or a golf shirt or some other t-shirt. I won't buy a black shirt. That's how you get away from the increase. But you're not going to pay more. So that's what you do. I mean, I know I go to the grocery store. Oh, steak's on sale. I'm going to buy that. I'm not paying $12 a pound for a steak. I'm going to pay $5. I'm going to buy the steak on sale. It's a nice New York strip, but it's $6.99. I'm going to buy 10 of those versus the $12 steaks. I do it all the time. So therefore, that's what happens. So, so you can't, so you got to be careful, but you can't just increase your costs and not have and there's no problems with it. There is. And that is what's happening, and that is fact. Until the tariff is dropped and this inflation both lead to higher gold. So don't get hung up in the interest rates going up. So therefore, I'll get 6% in the bank, but inflation's running at 8%, which means you're losing 2%. So just because you're getting 6%, if inflation's 8, in other words, it costs you 8% more to buy your goods and services and your gas and your food. So you're getting 6 in the bank, but you're paying 8% more. You're losing 2%. So you think, oh, I'm getting 6%. That's inflation. That's what's happening. But if I buy gold, gold goes up because the dollar, again, the inflation at 8% means it's 8% worse because it can't purchase, right? So now it's costing you $1,200 plus 8% to buy the gold. The gold's gone up. The gold's kept its value. I don't want the interest rate because what it means is the dollar's losing its value. But you'll never hear them talk about it like that because they want to confuse you so you don't know what's going on, so you won't run hysterically going, oh my God, which then creates hyperinflation, which means inflation goes 20%, 30%. Everybody takes a run on the bank. Everybody takes their money. This is what happened in Greece. They did bank runs. Guess what? They didn't pay them. They said, no, 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 we don't have the money because banks don't keep all the money. So if you have 50 grand in a bank and then you say, well, I want my 50 grand. They don't have it. They have maybe 20, 30 grand for you. They don't have 50 grand sitting there with your name on it. Keep that in mind. So when you go to take your money out, you got to be careful. That's what creates hyperinflation. That's what creates a wheelbarrow full of dollars to buy a bread. However, if you own gold, that's gone up because as the dollars are worthless, the gold becomes more valuable. That's why it's the gold standard. That's why gold's a hedge. And that's how you beat inflation. And that's the only way to beat inflation are real assets. Paintings, even the baseball cards should hold their value. As the dollar is worth less, it should go up. But they're harder to trade, so you'd rather buy gold coins. This is harder to sell because it's not a coin, so then it becomes a weight issue and a melt cost and everything else. But if I had the coin, an ounce coin's worth $11.75 now. It was worth $13.00. It will go back to $13. It'll go back to $15, and then I can trade it in for $1,500 worthless dollars, or I can feed my family with the gold coin, which will only go up in value. Even if it drops more, it's only temporary. Why these guys, these clowns, play around and supposedly buy dollars like a bunch of idiots, unless it's a fixed game, which is what's happening. And then all of a sudden, are you really going to buy dollars? You want to buy fiat currency that's worth less? It's worthless. It's backed by the government. We all don't trust the government, right? So you're buying dollars by the government. Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you want to buy gold? That doesn't matter about the government. It's got a price. It's worth more. As the dollars get less valuable, the gold price has to go up because it's got to take more dollars to buy the gold. It has to, because the dollars are worthless. The bread's now $5 a pound, a loaf. The chicken's now $5. The steaks are now $20 to buy one. Everything's gone up because of inflation, because the dollar's worth less. It takes more dollars to buy it. So why would you want to hold dollars? That's why you hold gold, because gold will go up because it takes more dollars to buy it, and it's impossible for the dollar to get stronger because they keep printing the shit out of it. It's a water fountain that just spits out dollars. It's more and more and more and more. And yeah, you don't always grab the money out of the bank, but using the debit card or the credit card is still using cash. It might not be there, but there's still dollars out there, and it's still being devalued. Because basically, what is it based on? Dollars, which are not backed by anything. Anyway, that's your economics at